Okay, we're going to talk about the stocks. Modifications to the stocks. If there was nothing wrong with them, like my examples here, these two here, the Sestrojetsky really doesn't have any stampings on it. Once I get them apart, we'll look at it closely. They didn't change them. This one here, this Westinghouse, does have some markings in it, and we'll go over that. But the one thing that the Finns did, because anyone who's fired a Mosin knows the barrel bands have a tendency to slide, and you see that little tiny screw there? That, I believe, is a Finnish modification. They placed them little wood screws, I have one I took out of the other stock, on both of the barrel bands. And that helps keep them from slipping or sliding up. And that is on all of these. So that is what I believe is a Finnish modification. And then as for the sling mounting points, some were not changed. Some versions have ones added, and like my other one, they were closed up in a different way. And it's not consistent. I guess it all boils down to, if the stock was serviceable and nothing was wrong, they left it alone. Okay, other than putting them screws in there to hold the barrel bands in. So now I'm going to go and disassemble these, and we're going to look at the three different stocks and see what modifications they did to them. Okay, we have everything disassembled. Now we're going to examine to see if any modifications were made to the stock. Now, upper handguards on all three guns are untouched. They are the 91 style. There are no modifications, no adjustments, no anything. So obviously, if it worked and went back on a stock, it was a 91 stock, they left it alone. Okay, so they did not modify the upper handguard for any reason. So, first one up is the Westinghouse. This is the Westinghouse rifle, and the stock is in fairly good shape, a little beat up. Now, nose cap hasn't changed, nothing. As the sling mount there, barrel bands, and sling mount here, nothing was changed. Now, as for the markings, there's a bullseye, a serial number. I believe that's a Russian stamping on there, I'm not quite sure. And appears to be an S right there. Also, there is a number 1 up here. Down on here, there's a U and a circle. Nothing illegible. And a number 2 here. And on the opposite side, there's a very faint, I believe, Russian cartouche right there. So that's all the markings on this. I'm not quite sure whether they were the Russian ones. Some of these are Russian. I don't think these are any of the Finns. Serial number and that. Okay, now, what I believe the Finns did, this has been shimmed. Okay, the stock has a shim in there. Come down the channel, and everything looks good. Okay, original barrel, and all this other fun stuff. Okay, next one up, Sestrojetsky. I'm going to move this so I can get it closer. Okay, next up is the Sestrojetsky stock. Now, you got to remember, this is the gun the Austrians had. So this thing may have been restocked because by the Austrians, because there are absolutely no markings on this, except for, like, it looks like a JP or something there. And I think there's a number 5 or something right there. That's it. This thing is clean. But now, what did the Finns do with it? We got shims here. We got a shim there. So this action's been shimmed. I'm starting to see that we're going to have a conclusion of how they rework this. So basically the only mods to this one is the shimming here and there. And no stampings, no nothing whatsoever. So, and again, it's left with its normal sling mounting points, nose cap, and all the other fun stuff. Okay, let's look at the last one. Okay, last of the three, and this one's a little bit different. We have an M91 that, had the sights adjusted, and I guess this one must have had a broken stock, because this is a Finnish replacement stock and it's different than the other ones. First, for the markings, this cross cannons here, this symbol, you can't really make it out. That is a Finnish stamp for a rework stock. There's the bullseye, which was on the other one. That may be an old Russian stamp. Now this gun has a different sling, like the older style slings, mounted there. That one's still attached, and the front one has that sling type attachment. Okay, it's an M91 length stock. Now the only other markings on this stock, there's some stampings here, kind of illegible, and I think there's a number somewhere, yeah, 7 here. Now, this is a two-piece stock. This is a Finnish rework. Now I don't know how they would do this, if they had two broken stocks and then they'd splice them together to make one stock. I'm not quite sure if the wood is different or not, but as you see, this is a prior to World War II. It has rounded fingers on the splice. Now the Finns, when they built or rebuilt the different model rifles, the stocks all have this, and they say the reason they made the two-piece stock is because of the extremely cold temperatures, that this relieves the stress from the cold and heat and keeps the stock from breaking. And all of them are done at this point, just about underneath, that's where the rear sight would go, at this point here. So this stock was refabricated by the Finns and placed on this 91. So basically they kind of made a replacement stock, and it is also shimmed here, not there. So this is shimmed too. Has the standard nose cap. So they made a replacement stock for the 91 as is. Didn't shorten the gun or whatever. They had a gun. It was serviceable. So they just reworked a stock for it and got it back in the serviceable condition. See if I can see where that splice is. Yeah, that's pretty interesting how they do that. Alright, so one out of the three has a remade or rebuilt stock put on it. I'll give you my conclusions.